This is going to be electrifying. Hello, I'm Ramon, and welcome back to All Scale RC. Here is the 30 degree north brushless conversion project that I've been putting off. Kind of hard getting around to do this with living in a beach town. In the summertime, I want to be on the beach. So finally getting back to this project, and we are going to be converting this to brushless. Now, as far as the build goes, we're going to be using the Dumble RC DDF 350 to control this. Now, I did buy the upgraded wheel thumb controller for this, which I'll upgrade on a different video, but I have the upgraded parts for this. I use the same radio on my Smithmaster RC MK Pro since it has a built-in gyro and works great. More than happy with it. And it's an inexpensive radio. You drop it, whatever, oh well, buy another one. It's not that expensive, so it does the job. Gearing wise, not sure what gearing it is. I have a bag full of pinions here, so not sure what pinion I'm going to use yet. But got my pinions, got my I got my CNHL batteries I'm going to be putting in here. I'm not sure if I'm going 8S, 10S, or 12S yet. I do have the Max 5 ESC, which will allow me to run up to 12S. So I'm hoping to go 12S. Depends on the tires. Most of the times I find when you try to run 12S, you can't keep the tires on the wheels. And I'm running a 55, 113, 890 kV motor in this thing. Also, aside from those parts, I have an 80 kg servo. Now, this is like a no-name servo, 80 kg. I tried using it once before. I thought it was kind of slow, but I'm going to increase the back coming out the ESC to power the servo to make it faster. Also, I bought a bag of parts from a ARRMA OUTCAST because I needed the battery trays. So, a lot of times Jenny RC will sell a lot of the parts, like they'll sell a bag of parts of random parts, which include battery trays. So you can get them from Jenny RC, but I got ARRMA OUTCAST battery trays for this. They're kind of in pieces, you got to put them together. But I have ARRMA OUTCAST battery trays for this. Since this car was originally gas powered, it has no battery trays. So I mean, all the parts are in here, but got it. Well, usually I get this stuff from Jenny RC, but Jenny RC didn't have any, so I found it on eBay for 30 bucks. So that's what I'm using for battery trays. I was thinking about just doing Velcro on the chassis, but that tends to work better for a speed run car. On a car that's gonna on a basher that you're gonna jump around and everything, you want those batteries really secured. So I am not gonna use just Velcro. I'm gonna actually use battery trays that are screwed to the chassis. So here's the body. I kind of did a kind of looks like the Bronco Funhaver color scheme. That was not intentional. I did not realize that until after I painted it. But here's the body. I still have the plastic wrap on here, which I'll remove once the car is done. I just don't want to get the body all scuffed up beforehand. So at the end of the video, we'll peel off the wrap and see how good or bad my paint job was. I'm going to have to remove several things off this car before I can do the brushless upgrade. We don't need the fuel tank. This was a battery box that was to provide juice to the servos, which we don't need in here. And I'm running 2 packs, which not enough room. Also, the braking system, I'm debating whether to keep that or not. Let's go ahead and remove everything we don't need, get it out the way. That way I can start figuring out the electronics. Oh, almost forgot. Here's the motor mount I'm going to be using. I will look this up again and put a link in the description on this motor mount. Originally, I saw this on Thunder RC. He used this motor mount on his brushless conversion on the 30 degree north, and he bashed the crap out that car, and the motor mount held up just fine. Now, there is not a rear support. I don't recall him using a rear support, and he really beats on these things. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna need a rear support or not. I'm gonna probably go without it. All right, let's get to the teardown. So here's the gutted 30 degree north buggy. I have the gear shroud right here. That's going to go back on. It looks like it helps with the structure of the spur gear mount. So I want to put that back on. But aside from that, I removed the rear servo mount. I removed the braking system. I left the brake disc on. I'm not too worried about them. To remove those, you have to undo the drive shaft, and this drive shaft right here in the center coupler, it has these little tiny bearings, and I just didn't want to deal with them. I don't think they're going to interfere with anything, and if I ever wanted to use the braking system, they're already on there, so they'll be fine. They should be fine. If they cause me any issues, I'll remove them. But servo's going to go right here, and I can lay out the rest. I'll mount the motor on first. Align the gear, align the pinion gear to the spur gear, and see how it all sits and build it from there. If you guys aren't already doing so, I buy my screws by the boxes. I get them from Amazon. I could put some links down to some. You could do your research and figure out which ones you need, but I get my screws by the boxes. It comes out to be way cheaper than buying a screw every time you need it. Okay, so I've gotten further on the 30 degree north project. Here's the motor mount. This is where it's going to be mounted. I'm going to use a 21 tooth pinion is what fits, right? But here, this brake, I took the bracket off for the braking system, but the brake disc is actually going to rub on the motor mount. So I have to remove the brake disc. Aside from that, I mounted battery trays, receiver box, and a ESC mount. I mounted there. So I've been hard at work on this. Kind of been a pain in the butt. But these are ARRMA OUTCAST battery trays. The receiver mount, and I cut the receiver mount, and the ESC mount, and here is the receiver mount. I cut the receiver mount from the ESC mount in order to separate them because it wouldn't fit or it didn't line up where I wanted to. I'm trying to make the car as balanced as possible, so I'm trying to distribute the weight as evenly as possible. I don't know how it's going to affect the driving of it, but I guess we'll see if it's a good call or a bad call. I was able to keep the dome up top. I had to grind down one of the legs a little to clear the motor mount. Aside from that, on these side trays, on these plastic trays, they have like some ribs that I had to grind down some to get the battery trays on so they would line up flush. And I mounted screws underneath. So I mounted them with screws underneath. Hopefully it holds up. Hopefully these pieces of plastic don't break. Yeah, if they do, I'll just order more. The motor is just here right now just for alignment purposes. I need to remove the bracket for the drive shaft to get these brake discs off. Now, for these brake discs, there is a snap ring and a pin that you have to remove from them. And there might be some bearings inside of there. I don't know yet until I go to remove it. But I'm going to remove that now. So let's get that out so I can get these brake discs off. Once I get those brake discs off, I can actually start putting the electronics in. So that's like the last thing that I have to do. Then it should be good. I actually need to go through things again and make sure I put Loctite where I need it. I was just trying to fit everything at first, so. Ooh. That worked. Little leverage. Alright. I hate to undo this center support, bearing support, because last time I took it off, these three little bearings fell out. Okay, so here's the brake disc. This was gonna rub against the motor mount. Cause a lot of heat, a lot of friction, God knows what else. So it's out of there. And I still need to take off the rear brake. I already had loosened up the caliper portion. Before I start popping these pins back in, I'm going to put the rest of the drive shaft on. See, on this side you have this pin that needs to go in there. And on this side you have little bearings. There's three little bearings that need to go in there. So you can't lose these. Oh God. The part that sucks. Okay, that's in. And this is in. You got to make sure that this pin, the hole is facing up. Okay, so now I'm bench testing the electronics. I had to make an executive decision and change out the servo to a 701 MG Power Hobby servo. I previously used one of these servos in my Creighton 8S EXB, and it's a great servo. It's a very good servo. If I remember, I'll put a link in the description for it. We're going to be testing this on 8S first. I'm using my CNHL 9000 mAh batteries. They are 120C, which is the discharge rate. So I'm going to be testing them on these. And depending on how it does, how the tires look, if the tires look like they're going to stay on the wheels, I'll up it to 10S and possibly 12S. The ESC I have is the Max 5 ESC, which is rated for up to 12S, and the motor is a 55 113 890 kV motor. So that's it. The receiver, I am using a Dumbo RC receiver from their new Dumbo RC radio. I had to bind this receiver to this radio, so that's already bound. And I am still waiting for my pinion for this motor. I needed a 19 tooth pinion, so I'm using a mod 1.5 8mm hole 19 tooth pinion for this. So that should be here today in the mail. But I can start this up, make sure everything is working. Alright, we have this nice dome that's going to protect everything. I really like that. It's kind of like a turtle. They always say a dome is like the strongest structure, so I'm hoping that's the deal with this. So it has a nice dome which protects the motor, pretty much protects the whole car. So I mean, it's not complicated. The biggest pain in the butt was mounting all these battery trays and securing everything. Since they do not make a conversion kit for this, you have to kind of make your own. So I made my own. We still don't have the shroud, the gear shroud on the spur gear, since I'm leaving that off until I install the pinion, because I want to be able to see the alignment of the teeth for the pinion. But I don't know what I just did here. Oh, here we go. Yeah, that's better. But radio's powered on, ESC's powered on. You can see that's on. The steering works. making a weird audible sound, but I'm not sure if it has anything to do with the batteries just being at storage mode. Once I put a pinion and load on it, if it's still making weird noises, I'll look into it more. But just for testing, I'm not going to charge batteries just to test it because I'm not running it right away. I need to get the pinion and finish the car. So let me power this back off. And let me get everything fitted the way it should. Oh, also I get my double-sided tape from Amazon. So I buy the big rolls. Is a lot cheaper. Look at the size of this roll. I usually use these for the bigger ESCs. So I'm gonna put this under the ESC, and I'm also gonna use zip ties to ensure it doesn't move as a safety precaution. But I've used this before; it stays on. Just put it on. Usually, when you're using double-sided tape, you should put it on. Well, clean your surface real good with alcohol. Put your ESC on or whatever you use, whatever you're binding with the double-sided tape. Put it on and let it sit overnight. That way it really sets in. I'll try to remember put links in these in the description as well, because people have asked me in the past where do I get my double-sided tape from, and I get it from Amazon. It comes out to be a lot cheaper, and I don't know where else to get this locally from. So it's pretty good stuff. It's come in handy lots of times. And for my cleanup, to clean up all the surfaces before you apply any double-sided tape, I use these little alcohol pads like you get at the hospital. They come in handy. They sell them in a box. You just use one, wipe everything down. One or two, wipe everything down. Especially, I mean, like a lot of these cars when they're made, they have a lot of release oils from the plastics on them. So you definitely want to clean your surfaces, or your double-sided tape isn't going to work as good as you want it to. So I always clean everything off. If I can find a link on this, I'll put a link on that too. I already actually cleaned this last night, but hey, it can never be too clean. Oh, actually, here, this is pretty funny. On the Power Hobby Servo, the 701 MG, this white line on there, I thought that was the white line on the wires coming out the servo. I thought the white line was negative, because usually when you have a white stripe on a black wire, it's negative. But that white line appears to be the common wire, because it goes in the white position in the servo. When I put it in the opposite way, it did not work. So that white line is actually for common and not for negative. So try to remember that. So while things are drying after I put on the alcohol, I'm going to go ahead and install the servo, which that's very simple. I don't know how tight you're supposed to tighten them when you're using these little rubber grommets or whatever. It's like usually I tighten something against a solid surface and it stops. When you're using these rubber grommets, it keeps on squishing down. So alright, I tighten them pretty tight. I mean, I don't want it to move. So now here's the screw for the servo itself. And I'm not sure if I should be using Loctite or what on a screw so that it doesn't back out. And I almost feel like it needs a washer, but nah, I think it'll be fine without a washer. I didn't put Loctite on the screw, but I put a little tiny droplet of a clear glue I have, which is almost like I'll show you in a second. I just put a little droplet of clear glue, just to gum up the threads a little bit to keep them from backing out. I didn't really want to put Loctite on. Okay, that feels good. Yeah, so I had this Elmer's washable clear glue. I just put a little bit on a little drop on the threads of the screw just to gum up the threads a little bit to keep them from backing out. I'm hoping that it's not as... I'm hoping that it's more forgiving than Loctite. Because I don't want the screw to back out the servo, but I want to be able to get the screw out if there is an issue with the servo. So, figure it's worth a try. Now my mounting plate I did screw down. So that's screwed down. And hopefully it's screwed down good enough. It's just on these plastic end pieces. So it is screwed down, and your ESC does have holes in there for screws, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use double-sided tape. See, the ESC has screw holes in it, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use double-sided tape. I'm going to put tape here and on this end, allowing these fins to still probably get air, and I'm going to use zip ties to hold it in place. I'm not a real big jumper, so I'm hoping it'll stay in place. If you're jumping, ramps at a skate park, then I would probably screw it down. But I haven't had a ESC come loose on me yet. Well, I haven't had an ESC that I've installed come loose on me yet, so I think it should be fine. Now, I'll be cutting a strip of the same double-sided tape that I use on this end for here. I don't want to use two different thicknesses, just so it'll sit better. I'm cutting off the extra since it'll just be a dirt magnet if I don't. Alright, so what I did there was I ran the antenna up the hole, put the antenna tube on, and there is a tiny little Allen screw here to hold the antenna tube from sliding out. I ran the wires. There is a little leg here, which is kind of hard to see, but there is a little leg here that you can slide your wires under. I will still use some silver tape I have to tape these actually to the chassis, the two wires, but the way these wires are now, I'm not worried at all that they're going to get caught up in any gearing or anything. So those wires are in there good. I would say that's definitely splash proof now. Alright, servo's in. I need to find my silver tape. It's electrical tape I have. And I'm probably going to zip tie these. I still need to find out where I'm going to mount the switch at. Yeah, that might be a good spot right there. Well, actually, let me look at the body. Let me look at the body, because if I don't have to pop off the body to turn it on and off, that'd be a good deal. So let me look at the body and see where's the best spot. Get another alcohol pad. I forgot to clean that off. So I'm gonna give that a minute, allow that to dry, but I still need to heat shrink those. No, I still need to heat shrink the motor wires. I don't like the way that heat shrink is coming off. Now there is a sensor wire here that I'm gonna zip tie because I don't want it to land in the gears, because even though there is a gear shroud, it still is in danger if it falls back there. So I'm gonna zip tie that off somewhere. So I'm gonna zip tie it to the other wires. Need more alcohol. See why I buy these boxes? These boxes are 100 count. And I go through them. Yeah, I'll use several little wipes on one car. So, and I mean, these wires are fine. They're not in any danger of getting caught up in anything, but I just don't like wires flailing around. So I mean, like, these are pretty safe. These aren't going anywhere, but I'm still gonna put a little tape on there, hold them down. And the same one with the ESC wire. But I bought this. I bought this silver tape. It's the same stuff you see in a lot of when you buy ready-to-run RC cars. It's what they use to hold the wires for the lights in. Same stuff. I don't remember where I got it from, but I'll try to remember and find the link for this as well. If anybody's interested. But you're trying to do nice clean builds, this will come in handy. Okay, everything appears to be working, which is a plus. And I'm just a pinion and gear shroud away from having a running car. And by luck, my motor is spinning the correct direction, so I don't have to worry about switching on any wires or switching anything in the radio. So I'm just a pinion away. This is looking good. Yeah, this thing's been yeah, been dying to get this thing done. Once I get that pinion on, I'll pull the plastic off the body I painted, get the stickers on it, and it's ready to go. Let me clean up my mess because I don't need any of this stuff anymore. Okay, so the ESC is mounted. This is the Max 5 250 amp ESC. I did put a plastic tray underneath of it, which is screwed on to the chassis. And I used double-sided tape and wire ties to hold it in place. It should be fine. These battery trays are OUTCAST battery trays. On the OUTCAST they're adjustable, but on here I really didn't have a good enough surface to make it so that they would be adjustable. So I permanently mounted them, and I padded the end with some foam for smaller batteries. If I decide to run even larger batteries, I'll just remove the foam. I just put it in place with double-sided tape, so it'll come out easy. The motor's mounted. I will put a link for the motor mount that I used in the description. The gear I ended up going with was a 22 Surpass Hobby pinion gear. I was going to go with, I thought I needed a 19th the way it was fitting before. I don't know if something just settled afterwards, because I had installed the 22 at first. It felt kind of tight in the mesh. Decided to change it for a 19, so I had to order it. Ended up getting a 19, a different 19 that wasn't a Surpass Hobby 19, and it had a shorter neck, which made the gear sit back further. I didn't like the alignment, so I then again ordered another 19 Surpass gear. That came in, installed that, and the mesh was too loose. So I went back to the 22. The 22 actually now feels fine. I don't know what was going on the day that I tried it, but I don't know what was going on the day that I initially tried it, but now the mesh feels fine. So I'm keeping the 22 in there, seeing what happens. I actually would like a motor mount that would make the motor move up closer towards the spur gear, but for now this is what I have. I'm running these 900 mAh 120C CNHL batteries. I did join their affiliate program, so I will put a link to these CNHL batteries in the description. And I tell you, CNHL has probably some of the best deals on batteries I've seen. Check out the link in the description. You will find some great deals on batteries. They always have stuff on sale. Right now I saw some batteries that were like 40% off. So depending on your needs, you can find some great deals on CNHL. Aside from that, I went with the Power Hobby 7. Aside from that, I went with the Power Hobby 701 MG Servo. I used this servo on my Creighton, on my 8S Creighton. Works great. Ended up having to go with the Power Hobby because of the spline in this servo arm that they provide. that's what you need. It's the same spline. I forget how many teeth it is. I'll find out what that is. I'll put it in the description. Okay, first we're gonna start this up in 8S, and then we're gonna switch to 10S. I also have the 400 mAh 7DC CNHL Hobby battery, so we're gonna try it on 10S. I had to use an adapter on here, but this is just for testing purposes. I just want to see what these tires. Look like to make sure they're gonna stay on the wheels. So guess let's start her up. And after we start it up, see how the tires are holding up. We'll throw the body on it. We'll finish peeling the plastic off the body, remove the masking off the windows, and see what this thing actually looks like once and for all. Okay, it's on. Okay. That doesn't seem too bad on 8S. It seems like I can change probably the punch levels on here, because it seems like the power is coming on gradually. It's as you can see, when it first starts up, the tires they slowly get larger. They don't just like jump up. So the power seems to be coming on a little gradual in the beginning. That doesn't seem too bad. This thing actually has a gyro in it too, because that's why I went with the Dumbo RC, because the receivers I have gyros. So that's not too bad. But let me try this on 10S, see what it looks like. Now I know that the ESC on this thing can handle 12S, but I'm not sure about that motor. So we're gonna try it on 10. Tell you, the drive line on this thing is a pain in the butt with these little tiny bearings that keep on falling out every time I had to take it apart to remove the brake calipers and everything on here. These little bearings just kept on falling out, and I would lose them. It was a fun build, let's just say. But the thing I do know is it is a pretty tough car when it's done, so it should be fine. I would have had this done probably 2 weeks ago if it wasn't for the pinion gear, and I ended up using a pinion gear I already had. And besides that, my wife went crazy with Halloween, and she needed my assistance decorating. So my weekends went to covering our house, the exterior of our house, in Halloween stuff. Okay. All right, now this is on 10S. It's getting a little scary here. Move these batteries out the way. Yeah, I think this thing will rip on 10S. Yeah, it definitely has a lot more torque. Might need a wheelie bar. But yeah, this thing will probably rip on 10S. I feel it wants to jump out my hand. I mean, it doesn't feel bad on 8S either. Probably for everyday driving on 8S, and when you just want to show off and act the fool, run it on 10S. Maybe on grass, grass probably 10S would probably be good. But let's get this body. Let's get this body on here and see what the hell this thing looks like after all this time. Okay, so here's the body. It's by coincidence that I ended up with the same color scheme as the Bronco Funhaver. I am a Bronco fan though. I do have a Bronco Raptor. So, hey, it fits. So, I want to get the windshield unmasked first, and then we'll peel off the plastic. I don't know why people always make a big deal out of pulling the plastic off a brand new RC car that they just bought, but it's a lot more satisfying when you peel off the plastic off a RC car you just finished painting, because on the plastic on the exterior you have all this overspray and all, and the bodies just look horrible. They don't look like doesn't look like you did a good job until you actually pull off the plastic. And that kind of tells you, I mean, but then again, that's when you see all your flaws too. So I mean, it could be hit and miss. You could be disappointed with your results, or you could be astonished with how good a job you did. This body has really had a lot of time to cure, unfortunately, and I think it's probably easier to remove the masking and everything else the less it sits. So it's had so much time to cure that the paint on the masking became a little bit more brittle, and it's just a little harder to remove. Okay, so there's the front windshield undone. Let me suck this mess up I made. So here's the body. Let's get this plastic off finally. After I don't know how long. It's probably been months since I painted this. Okay, that's ooh, little residual glue drips. Okay, so here's what the body came out like. Came out pretty good. I'm no expert painter at all. I used liquid mask. First time using liquid mask. My little cross thing here came out a little wonky, but I might take a Sharpie or something or black paint and outline it to make it look a little better. But aside from that, overall it looks pretty good. And here's the thing, when you do these bodies, you'll make it perfect, and you'll end up flipping the car 5 minutes after. So you know, don't drive yourself nuts. You'll make a perfect body and destroy it faster than you can blink. So let's put it on the car and see what this finished product looks like. Sit there for 1 second. Okay, so I was smart enough to make sure that I can get my finger into the power switch right here. So I mounted the power switch right there at that opening, which that worked out perfectly. I kept the dome, the protective dome that's going to keep the body from caving in on top, so that worked out good. Here's the paint job. Ooh, that's the foam. That's the paint job. That's what this thing looks like. I like it. I'm actually happy with it. I mean, it's not perfect, but it looks good. Here's the back side of it. Yeah, I think it's a cool looking buggy. Also reminds me of the buggy from the Toy Story movie, which was this kind of royal blue and green. So gives me that look. All what it needs is 2 lights mounted in the front for headlamps. But yeah, no, this thing is it's gonna be a beast. Yep. Yeah, I don't know how much charge is in these batteries, and I'm a little worried about running it. You don't want to get a scratch on it the first time out. I'll probably take it out back and try it on 8S first, possibly even on 6S, just to get it aligned, just to get a feel for it before I start romping on it. So I'll probably do that in another video. This video has gone on long enough. I'll put a list of everything that I use to build this car in the description, and I'll put links on. Be sure to check out CNHL batteries, great deals on there, and I'll put my affiliate link on there. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this 30° North build. This is supposed to be a gas car. It's now brushless. Please keep on checking out the rest of my videos. I'll be creating a lot more content soon, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.